Hello folks, Jason Chrisman, JC's Bees. Guess what I'm finally seeing? That's right, some pollen. I actually seen 3 different sources of pollen the other day. I seen a light yellow, which I contribute to the maple trees, a bright orange, which would be crocus, and a real light tan color. That one kind of stumbled me a little bit. I'm not quite sure what that one is, but I was very excited to see this. I actually seen it about 5 days ago. We had some super nice weather, and the bees were bringing it in at a pretty good pace. Actually shot a little video. Check it out. It's kind of hard to believe, in the middle of March, but we're sitting at 71 degrees right this minute. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon, and the girls are flying pretty heavily. One thing I noticed when I came up here a few minutes ago got me a little bit excited. And I want you to see if you can see it. Watch right here really closely and tell me what you see. Did you see it? Did you see it? Keep watching. Did you see that? Pollen. Pollen's coming in. So, if you remember back a couple weeks ago, I made some pollen patties. Now that I'm seeing this pollen source come in, I took time today to go around and throw these patties on the hives. Now that nature is providing some pollen, I can't see any harm in adding some myself. So pollen patties are on. So what I want to talk about this week is rendering beeswax. If you're new to beekeeping, you're going to start to collect quite a bit of beeswax, whether it's just burr comb, whatever it is. If you throw it in a bucket over a period of time, it's going to add up really quick. Personally, I use a solar wax melter to render my beeswax for the most part. But there's still those cases where you get a little bit of dirt in the beeswax, and I'm not really wanting to put that dirt on my plastic foundation. And that's what I plan to use my wax for, just recoating plastic foundation. So this week I took some time and rendered a little bit of beeswax, and I want to show you how I go about that. So check this out and see what you think. Okay, so to begin with, I've got these screw bins that I use in my solar wax melter. These are the bins that I use to catch the wax as it melts. You can kind of see here we've got an assortment of different colors of comb, or beeswax rather. We got a fairly clean piece here, and this piece here seems to be a little darker, just like what I've got here in my pan. It's a little bit darker, and the bottom you can see still has some dirt in it. So what we're going to do to clean this up some more is I've got a pan here. I'm going to put the rest of this wax in the pan, like so. You want to make sure you don't get any around the burner. The wife ain't too happy about wax all over the stove. So I'm going to wipe all that up before I turn my burner on. And then I'm also going to take this bigger piece here and break it in half so that it fits down in the pan a little better. Like so. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and wipe any wax that may have broke when I did that on the stove. You see all those little pieces? I'm going to wipe all of them up before I even turn the burner on. Okay, so I've got my area nice and clean now. Now I'm going to put this back on the burner. I'm going to turn the burner on medium, and I've got some hot tap water here. I'm going to add that to the wax. Boy, I'm just making messes everywhere. Now I got water all over the stove. Use my paper towel here and clean that up. So how this is going to work is the water is going to heat up, the wax is going to melt, and you're going to kind of see the wax and the water kind of mix together a little bit. And what's going to happen is the dirt particles are going to fall to the bottom, and the wax is going to float to the top as it cools. Now, of course, it ain't going to cool until you remove it from the heat. But what you want to do is you want to make sure it melts completely. And then after it's melted completely, move the pan around a little bit, get the particles to move around a little bit in there. And then after you do that, remove it from heat and let it cool. As it cools, like I say, you're going to notice the wax will float to the top. Any dirt and sludge will go to the bottom of the pan. Okay folks, so we've got the water and the wax to a full boil. At this point everything is melted. I'm going to shut the burner off, and we're now going to pull it off of the hot burner and let it cool. So we'll check back once it dries and see how it looks. Okay, so overnight the wax completely cooled. I've tried to pop it out this morning with little difficulties. I thought I would show you what it looked like before I went ahead and did that. Now what I'm going to do now is go ahead and drain this yucky water off now that we're outside, and let the chickens figure out that it's nothing they're going to like. Or the ducks. Ducks will like it, it's water. Okay, so we've got the water off of it now. Now we need to work on getting it free from the pan. And that can be a little bit contrary. Sometimes you're best to put it back on the burner for a few minutes and let the pan get hot. And that'll make it a little bit easier to release it from the pan. So I'm going to take a second here and work on getting this out of here, and then I'll come back and show you what we've got. I got it to break free. Did break it in half, but I'm not too concerned about that. Here's what we've got. Look at it out in the sun. Looks like some pretty clean wax, right? Well, when we look at the bottom, you're going to see that's where all of the dirt went. All of the yuckiness that was in there. So what you want to do now is use your hive tool, scrape off that yuck, and get it as clean, down to clean wax if you can. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to keep repeating this process until we get to where we have no dirt on the bottom of our wax. Pretty simple, huh? It isn't real hard, but it is time consuming. So you want to make sure that if you're doing this, you've got enough wax to justify spending all this time doing it. I got a little more in here. Look here. Nice and clean, pretty much all the way through. And then you get down here to where you've got about 1/8 of an inch of nothing but crud. I'm going to get the crud out of there. Then we're going to throw it back in a hot pan with some water, bring it to a boil, and let it set again. Once it cools, pull it back out, repeat this process. And just keep repeating everything until you get to where you pop it out and the bottom looks clean. Or maybe there's just a little bit of dirt and you're able to scrape it off, and then you have clean wax. But that's about all there is to it, folks. You just keep repeating the process. I do want to say, you know, you could use your hive tool when you remove this from the heat and it starts to coagulate, and maybe use your hive tool to go around and cut it loose. The problem is you're going to get some wax on here, and then you're going to have to scrape it off back into your pan when you reclean it. So keep that in mind. Anything you use to touch the hot wax is going to get wax on it, and then you've got to get the wax back off of it. So I find the fewer items you have involved, the better off you are. In the past, I've had people tell me, pour the wax through a paper towel. Yeah, that turned into a big mess. I actually lost a lot of wax because it dried in the paper towel and I wasn't able to get it back. So don't pour it through a paper towel. In the past, I have poured it through an old t-shirt. That worked pretty good at getting the dirt out. The problem is the wax that coagulates in a t-shirt, you never get back. So keep these facts in mind when you go to clean your wax. Also keep in mind that disease can be carried in wax. So if you're using a wax from somebody else for your bees, for instance, if you're going to take wax from somebody else and do like I'm going to and melt this down and paint it on plastic foundation, you wouldn't want somebody else's wax just because you don't know what's in the wax. Does it have foul brood disease in it? Does it have nosema spores in it? You don't know. So be cautious of the wax you use and how you use it. I prefer, my preference is to use only my wax. And like I said, I do prefer to use my solar wax melter to get this process started. I'll take my old combs, and I'll throw them in my wax melter on a nice hot day. That slowly runs down the front of the wax melter and drips into my settlement bowl. Now with this slowly running down the inside of my wax melter, the dirt seems to be left behind for the most part. So what you see on the bottom of this was minimal compared to what you're going to see if you just throw comb in the hot water and start cooking it down to get your wax. So yeah, I recommend anybody that's going to be rendering wax, look into a solar wax melter. Make your own. They're not real hard to make. Take you an old piece of window, a box, tilt the box at an angle, make you a place to catch your wax, and weigh your window on top of the box for the sun to penetrate through. Pretty simple. So I hope this has been helpful. I know a lot of people like to render their wax. It is kind of enjoyable. It's one of the benefits of being a beekeeper. You get all this wax. So to keep it clean and to make it look good is definitely beneficial. So as you can see, it can really eat up a lot of time rendering beeswax. So you want to make sure you have a decent amount before you go to all these steps. Once you work and get it clean enough, it's going to look something like this. Nice clean piece of wax. Now you can sell this beeswax, you could turn it into a candle, use it for lip balm, whatever it may be. But you still got to take the time and the effort to get it to this point before you can do that. And if you use these steps and just keep repeating them, eventually your wax will look just like this. Now to make this one, I bought this cake mold. I believe it was on Amazon. I'll leave a link for it down below. But I'm able to make these little blocks really quick, and a whole bunch of them. So if that's something you're interested in, I will leave a link down to this. It's a silicone mold, so all you gotta do is kind of flex it and the little wax things just pop right out. So if it's something you're interested in, I'll leave a link for that down below. If you're seeing pollen, I'd take the opportunity on a warm day and get out there and add the pollen patties. I don't think I'd start breaking frames and stuff apart yet. Leave things as they are and just lay the pollen patty there where the bees can get it. Now keep in mind, you're going to have to put this pollen patty close enough that the bees can reach it. If you put it off to the side, they're probably not going to bother with it. So put it right over top of them, right on your pile of sugar, and check back in a few days and see if the bees are enjoying the patty. So I hope you liked the video, and if so, throw me a big thumbs up. That'll help boost it in the YouTube search ranks and make it easier for other beekeepers to find. If you haven't subscribed, please take time to do so, and make sure you click on the little bell so that you get notified when I release new videos. Thanks for watching. JC's Bees.